守りたいと思
Oh,
う心に嘘はなかった。大切にしたいと思う心は誰よりも強い
I
はず
wanted
だっ
to.
た。優
Huh.
しさから生まれた感情はやがて殺意へと変わり、真っ白だった思いは赤と黒で染まってゆく。
Huh.
それが守りたかった日常の崩壊を意味していると分かっていながら、たたり殺し、
Well, there we go. We get the title
何が
drop.
間違っていたの
Or
か。
there's still more.
その答えを探して悲劇はさらに広がってゆく。
All right.
北条さん
Hello,
は
everyone.
今日もお休みですか？
Welcome back for some more. Let's read Higurashi. So, we know that our little friend is not here. Where is she? What's going on? There's also the worry. Apparently, her uncle might be back in town. So, that's worrying. And I'm going to be honest, I think that little poem for the chapter there, I feel like it revealed a bit of its hand too much. Because is it literally saying, oh, to protect her, then Rena had to go and become like the crazy murder girl we know, which is also confusing, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not revealing too much, but it's still interesting that it says that seemingly so blatantly. Let's continue.
古田さんは何か知っていますか？
The teacher's voice wasn't critical, but Rika-chan hung her head, unable to answer, and I felt really bad for her. Yeah, no, that's very much like a you know what's going on, and you're just not telling us, which is surprising. But then again, she can't make Rika talk considering she's the favorite child of the village. The teacher called Rika-chan up and they had an exchange in hushed tones at the dais. At first, Rika-chan said that Satoko's fever had grown worse, but everyone in class knew it was a lie. Because every day, Rika-chan brought Satoko's bento with her. Oh no. I'm not liking where this is going,
どうし
man.
ちゃったんだろうね。
It's probably really obvious, and I don't even want to consider it.
俺が知るかよ。
I'm the one who wants to know most of all. It was already the third day since Satoko's first absence. It's like 3 days? Ever since then, I haven't felt good. Until just last Sunday, everything had been so much fun. I'd reached out to Satoko like a real older brother. We spent that time quietly, but warm and comfortable. So why had it suddenly been flipped over? The more I thought about it, the more I thought that the world had taken a turn for the worse since Oishi arrived. Thinking on it now, maybe the strange apprehensions plaguing me the night before Oishi arrived had been a sign. Kara Udo Oishi, Oyashiro-sama's servant, which did get brought up in the very first chapter, people reminded me.
くそ、そんなことあるもんか。あいつが現れたから、サトコが今年のタタリに会う役だなんて決められてたまるかよ。
So what sort of slip-up had I committed to cause those fun times to end so early? Yes, it was the day before Oishi appeared. Shion, Mion, and Rena had spoken of the curse surrounding Satoshine's disappearance, and it was so sinister it gave me a bad premonition. Such a small thing was the slip-up that invited Oyashiro-sama's servant? It was absurd. I kept on groaning to myself that I would never accept it ever. I obviously wasn't the only one suppressing my feelings. Mion and Rena were too. Everyone in the class was doing it. Rika-chan knew something about Satoko's situation, but she wouldn't tell us. Rika-chan still held a calm attitude like a cat basking in the sun, but she was being unbelievably stubborn about this whole thing. She didn't want to tell us, and that wouldn't change no matter how many times we asked her. Everyone understood that, so nobody questioned her.
リカちゃんが言わないならさ、言うまで待つしかないよね。逆に言わないってことは言う必要もない程度のことかもしれないし。
There was no persuasive power and reassurance given with an anxious face like that. Mion was being taciturn and just looked up at the sky with a somehow annoyed expression. I couldn't tell if she was unhappy that Rika-chan wouldn't talk about it with her own friends, or if she was concerned over Satoko's well-being. Why not both? And what about me? My anxiety was suffocating me day after day. If someone else were looking at me, well, then maybe I'd look annoyed. Maybe I'd look annoyed like Mion did. Tap, tap. Someone tapped my shoulder. It was Tomine-kun and
上
Okamura-kun.
原さん、ちょっといいですか？
Listen, you guys are the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and at a certain point we do have to shoo the clowns. That is your role in this story. It's kind of serious time now.
またボールが引っかかったか？今度はお前たちで何とかしてみろよ。
Yeah.
いつまでも先輩に頼るのは良くないぜ。
Can't you see I got the big depressy? I didn't feel like going along with them, so I was a little unsympathetic with my response.
ちょっと気になる噂を聞いたんすよ。
Never mind.
噂？
はい。ひょっとすると関係があるかもと思っ
Wait.
て。
You guys are going to be plot relevant. A rumor about Satoko. They hadn't said that, but it didn't seem unrelated. They didn't want to talk in the classroom, so they pulled me behind the school building, lending further credence to that thought. The back of the school was damp and humid like always. Students didn't really come here because they wanted to. It might, however, have been the ideal location for trading rumors away from prying eyes.
富田君、岡村君、その噂話って、もちろん聡子の欠席と関係のある話なんだろうな。
関係があるかはわからないですけど、あるいは。
聡子は一体どうしたってんだ？風邪なのか？それともひょっとしてもっと重い病気か怪我か何かで。
I mean, so he's not even like considering the fact that she got basically kidnapped? As sometimes parents are to do from school. I've not had that experience myself, but boy, geez, have I heard stories, right? But like he's not thinking about that, but that is what I think it is.
いえ、それがむしろ逆で、
Oh?
うちのばあちゃんの話だと、昨日の昼にうちの店に豆腐を買いに来たらしいんです。
Yeah. Oh, Tomine-kun's family runs a tofu shop at it, Okamura-kun.
豆腐屋さんに買い物？
My voice sounds stupefied, my voice sounds so stupefied, even I can tell. It was understandable. I was worried about what grave illness or injury she had when the person herself had been out and about shopping for tofu.
で、聡子はどうだったんだよ？元気そうだったのか？それとも病み上がりでマスクでもしてたとか、松葉杖で包帯だらけだったとか。
いえ、別に病気とか怪我とか、
Okay.
そういうわけじゃなかったらしいんですが。
I think I know what's going on then. I should have felt relieved that it wasn't an illness or injury. My anxiety wasn't going away. Because Tomine-kun and Okamura-kun's expressions weren't looking any better.
絹ごし豆腐を一丁買っていったそうなんですが、ばあちゃんが言うにはおかしいと。
Extraordinarily large?
おかしい？なぜ？
Too large for one person?
絹ごし豆腐を買って何が悪い？
Irritated by how roundabout they were being, I had to desperately fight that irritation from creeping into my voice.
北条とフルデってほら二人暮らしでそんなにお金持ちってわけじゃないですよね。だから二人はいつも安い木綿豆腐しか買わないんです。
I didn't even know that soft tofu was the cheaper one.
一番高い絹ごし豆腐なんか
Oh,
買ったことないんです。
huh.
木綿だって絹ごしだってどっちも豆腐だろ？
Oh god, your anti-cooking ability is showing.
たまにはうまい豆腐が食いたくなっただけかもしれないじゃないか。
それは
Did she pay with a
So
credit card or
desperate.
something? I knew how transparent I sounded right then. This wasn't anything trivial. It was some kind of important clue. Not the cheap firm tofu, but the expensive soft kind. Shopping not in the evening after school, but in the middle of the day. I couldn't figure out what those things meant. As I thought hard about it, Okamura-kun took his turn to speak.
次は僕っすね。これも噂なんですけど、帰ってきたらしいんですよ。
帰ってきた？何が？
Uh-oh.
誰が？
北条のおじさんが。
There we go. Satoko's uncle. Right, I think Coach told me about him. Their aunt and uncle had taken them in after Satoko and Satoshi lost their parents in the accident.
去年のお社様のたたりで怖くなって町に逃げたっていう。こいつヤクザみたいな
Oh,
怖
great.
くて乱暴なやつで。
Is there anyone in this town who is a normal family? Everything Coach told me came back in bits and pieces. Is he gonna be rolling his R's? Is he gonna hit us with the timid the first time he sees us? Right. The mean aunt and uncle who had tormented them all the time. I think he said that after their aunt was beaten to death by the deviant, he ran away to his lover's house in Okonomiya in fear of the
そい
curse.
つが帰ってくると、どうして聡子が学校を休んで真っ昼間に絹ごし豆腐を買う羽目になるんだ？
I am so terrified of where this is going. Oh no. Underclassmen clammed up and looked downwards. There must have been some big hint buried in there. Even if I didn't understand, if I told Mion or Rena about it, maybe they'd know something.
ごめんな、二人とも。せっかく好意で話を聞かせてくれたのに、なんだか問い詰めるような言い方になっちゃって。
I mean, we are concerned.
あ、いえ、いいっすよ。北条が重病で寝たきりになってないことが分かっただけでも、ほら儲けもんじゃないですか。
That might be true. But it still won't make the clouds over my mind fade away.
あ、前原さん、ほらあれ。
Oh god. Okamura-kun cried wildly, pointing over my shoulders behind me. Startled, I turned around and way on the other side of the schoolyard. Oh god, near the school gate I saw a figure trudging forth. I swear to god if it's you. Oh! Oh no. No. I do not like her expression. I don't like her expression.
北条だ。
Oh god. I burst into a run faster than I could speak, so that as quickly as possible I could see my own eyes that she was okay.
スタートゴー！
Satoko seemed taken aback by me shouting and running over to her.
まあ何ですの圭一さん。
Oh my god, you are so strong.
突然大声を出して走ってくるから何事かと驚きましたわ。
バカ！俺のことなんかどうでもいいだろう。それよりどうしたってんだよ、サトコ。俺心配で。
心配性ですわね。たかだか3日ですわよ。もう圭一さんは心配性なんですから。
Listening to her, she seemed like the normal Satoko, but I could tell she was clearly acting strangely. Her smile was somehow forlorn, and her complexion was bad for some reason.
北条、大丈夫だったのかよ。風邪とかじゃないのか。
Tomura-kun and Okamura-kun both expressed their
一
concerns.
体どうしたってんだよ。3日も俺がどれだけ心配してたか。
ごめんあそばせですわ。ちょっとお家のお掃除をしたりしてたんですのよ。だいぶ長いこと使ってませんでしたから、もう家中ほこりだらけでして。
So he is back, and he's at the same place you're at.
はあ？サトコ、お前
Oh
何
boy.
を言ってんだ？なんで家の掃除なんかで学校を休まなきゃなんないんだ？
Satoko didn't answer me. Instead, she passed by me and headed for the entrance.
もう今はお弁当の時間ではありませんの。私はお腹が空いてますのよ。
It was certainly lunch break. I couldn't force her to stop after she told me she wanted lunch since she was so hungry.
まあいいや、リカちゃんは3日間毎日お前の弁当を持ってきてくれてるんだぜ。
Hopefully not the same one.
今日はちゃんと食べてやれそうだな。とにかく早く教室へ行こう。みんなを安心させてやろうぜ。
そうですわね。皆さんにご心配をおかけしてしまったかもしれませんわね。あははは。人気者は辛いでございますわ。
I put a hand on Satoko's shoulder, We ran to the classroom together. Up close, I was able to verify that Satoko looked somehow weak. All this anxiety was supposed to go away when I saw her again. That's what I had thought. But now, I actually started to have quite different fears. What the heck happened, Satoko? Oh my god, they weren't joking. This is a very high difficulty one. This is a very high difficulty one. Everyone in the class, of course, reacted the exact same way I had. We worried about you. I'm glad to see you well. What were you doing for 3 days? Our classmates showered her with questions.
本当にご迷惑をおかけしましたわね。
As she cackled, she chowed down on the bento Rika-chan had made for her. Those in the teacher's lounge must have been informed of Satoko's arrival, because our teacher sprinted in the classroom, her breathing ragged.
北条さん。
あら先生、3日間もご心配をおかけしましたわね。
So this is where you do a child welfare check. Oh god, they probably don't have these in Japan. Like, okay, no, like at least in Canada, if at any point we are worried about, like, hey, I think something is not going right with this child's family, all we have to do is we just send a request and someone goes to check on the family. And that's it. It's anonymous, it's like, it's quick, it's, is not the police, it's a third-party group that goes to check for them. You can even have it done for, say a child's not bringing lunches or something, you can go check, be like, what's wrong? And then they can, if they need help, then they get the help they need. It's a great service that I've had to call once in my time in Canada as a teacher. And it's a serious thing, right? But the thing that's important about it is because it's a third party, because it's they will handle it, but it's anonymous. Anyone can request it. It could, they have no, that's the best way to handle it, because in this situation, right, I would be doing that because no word of where they were. If Keiichi can tell that she's weak, then a teacher should be able to for sure. So
ご覧の通り、元気でピンピンしてま
we'll
す
see
わ。
what she does.
もう本当に心配してたんですからね。
I mean, of course, there's the second problem of we're in a small town, and this dude is apparently some Yakuza criminal-looking dude. And, Oichi and the police don't seem to be helping. So... Oh, God, this is high difficulty.
お弁
They
当が
weren't
食べ終わ
joking.
ったら職員室に来るん
Yeah,
ですよ。
we need to have a talk.
いろいろとお話があります。
Yeah.
3日もサボったからきっと大目玉に違いありませんわね。
I hope she's probably just gonna lie and just said she cut class to clean. Satoko laughed sheepishly while she scratched her head, and the rest of the class burst out into laughter. I'm not laughing. The teacher was acting angry, but she breathed a sigh of relief at seeing Satoko healthy and smiling as she ate her lunch with the class surrounding her.
でも安心したよな、レナ。
Oh no, she's in thought.
あ、ごめん。
She's worried.
うん。無
No,
事でよかったよね。
we literally already know. At this point, Ren is gonna go and try and kill him. Which, fair. No, go ahead. I looked at Rena and knew. She had a sense that something about Satoko was off too. I looked to see Mion detached from the clamor as well, with a somewhat grim expression. Okay, we all know. But Rika-chan, on the other hand, was smiling from ear to ear. Oh my god, you're just happy she's safe. She spread out the bento boxes one by one as Satoko finished them. Oh my god, she ate 3 days' worth in a row. Finally, Satoko was satisfied, and after enjoying a thorough conversation with her classmates, remembered that she'd been called to the teacher's lounge.
めんどくさいんですけど、行かないともっと怒られてしまいそうですからね。僕も一緒に行きますですよ。
Satoko rises from her seat, and Rika-chan runs over to her.
ごめん遊ばせケイイチさん。ちょっと怒られてまいりますわ。
おう、なんだったら俺も一緒に付き合うぜ。例のカレーの悪口の時、 一緒に職員室で怒られた仲じゃねえか。
Oh, you just want to be there to protect her, man.
それには及ばないのです。圭一はここでお留守番なのですよ。
Rika-chan's words were gentle, but the firm rejection was clear in her eyes. Two of them exited into the hallway, walking shoulder to shoulder. After seeing them off, the class breathed a collective sigh of relief, broke apart, and went back to their usual lunch break banter. We, however, couldn't go back to how we usually were. Not I, not Mion, and of course, not Rena. They stared at the classroom exit Satoko and Rika-chan had left through, their expressions a little distant and grim.
俺たちは仲間だ。そうだろう、みんな。
I blurted out something strange, so Mion and Rena turned around with dubious expressions.
俺は仲間に隠し事はしない。だから、さっき聞いたばかりのことを言う。
Oh boy. This is... You know what? I don't even think they need to be told this. I think they'd like to know the confirmation, but I think they know. I told them the stories I heard from Tomura-kun and Okamura-kun earlier about the tofu shop and how Satoko's uncle had apparently come back. All at once, without letting them speak. That's the way to do it.
これが俺の知るすべてだ。だからミオンもレナもしていることがあるなら話してくれ。俺は俺の知るすべてを話したぞ。
I ended my sentence firmly and looked into Mion and Rena's eyes in turn. Rena stared right back at me. Her eyes didn't falter. Without even opening her mouth, I could tell she wasn't hiding anything. Then our gazes turned to Mion.
別に私は隠して黙ってるわけじゃないよ。
Mion couldn't seem to endure our silent stares and began to talk timidly as if she was guilty of something.
でもケイちゃんが話したなら私も話さないわけにはいかないよね。
みーちゃん、何か知ってるの？
Oh, Rena doesn't know this.
いや、さとこのおじが帰ってきたっての、帰ってきた初日から知ってたよ。
Huh.
この間の日曜日にふらっとひなみ沢に帰ってきたって。
どうしてそれを黙ってた？
ごめん。
I think it's because she's trying to keep you guys out of the criminal side of stuff. My angry shout caused Mion to flinch away and look down and hang her head uncomfortably.
圭一くん、怒るようなことじゃないよ。みーちゃん怖がってる。
あ、ごめん。つい大声を。
I lowered my head in apology. Mion accepted it, collected herself, and continued. According to her, her uncle's relationship with his lover, whom he had been with in Okonomiya, had collapsed. Without anywhere to go, he went back home to Hinamizawa. And on that Sunday, the day of the barbecue, her uncle ran into Satoko. I don't like these words and brought her back to the house. That sounds like a kidnapping.
自宅になんで連れ戻すんだよ。
ろくでなしの寄生虫だからね。
Thank you for not being nice to him.
自分一人じゃ炊事はおろか、掃除一つできないし。
I know a few people like that.
そんな。
Oh God.
炊事やお掃除のためにさとこちゃんを連れ戻したっていうの？
Yeah. I remember that she said she'd been cleaning the house when I met her back at the school gate. A moment later, the pieces fell into place, into the jigsaw puzzle of unease. And as for what that puzzle depicted, when I saw it from afar, I could see the answer clearly.
さとこが家に閉じ込められて、
She what?
いじめられながら家事をやらされてるっ
Oh.
ていう噂なんだよ。
Oh no. Oh no. If you knew that, why didn't you speak up? I nearly yelled that at Mion, but hastily stopped myself.
みーちゃん、それ本当なの？
私がこの目で確かめたわけじゃないから本当かどうかは知らないけど。
Mion looked down again and, staring at the floor, grew quiet.
去年みたいに意地悪なおじさん夫婦のところで暮らしてた時みたいに。
でもさ、そのおじさんって家事はからっきしなんだろ。聡子が重宝なわけだから何もいじめてるってわけじゃないかもしれないだろ。
As we said, he's a terrible person. Well, I guess we just said he's a parasite.
圭一くん、何を根拠に言ってるのか知らないけど、いい加減なことは言わない方がいいよ。
Dang. Rena clearly and directly got mad at me. You don't know much about this, so don't talk as if you do. That's clearly what she meant, which, you know what? Fair. No, good reminder. Thank you, we needed that.
じゃあレナは知ってるのかよ。
私だって知らないよ。今ここで聞くまで、聡子ちゃんがおじさんの家に連れ戻されたなんて知らなかったもの。でもね、1年前とはまるで状況が違うの。
状況が違うってどういうことだよ。
サトシくんがいない。
Oh god. She's gonna have to do double the work.
サトシはすごく妹思いのいい兄だった
Oh
んだよ。
no. There's no one to defend her.
いつも聡子をかばってた。
Oh no.
意地悪なおじおばのとばっちりが少しでも聡子にかぶらないように盾になってくれてた。
家には意地悪なおじさんと聡子ちゃんが二人きりなんだよ。
The fact that they're specifying, like they're literally calling him the mean uncle.
それがどれだけ行き詰まるものか、圭一くんにだって想像がつくんじゃないかな。ひなみ沢に帰ってきた理由だって身を寄せてた愛人が蒸発したからでしょ。そんな不愉快な理由で帰ってきた人がどうして聡子ちゃんに優しくできるっていうの？
He was right. It wasn't easy for me to imagine Satoko not being tormented.
ごめん。
こっちこそごめん。問い詰めるような口調になっちゃったね。
You don't have to put up the front. No, this is serious time. An awkward atmosphere floated among us. The three of us remained silent and just stared at the floor. Can someone walk home with her? Finally, we heard the principal's bell ringing. The teacher came back with Satoko and Rika-chan at her side.
さあさあ、午後の授業を始めますよ。委員長、号令。起立。
ごめんなさいね。失礼。
Oh. Huh. I couldn't read anything from Satoko's vaguely sheepish expression, but given that clouded look Rika-chan was wearing behind her, it was tough to laugh off the disquieting story I'd heard from Mion.
よーし、久々に全メンバーが揃ったからね。久しぶりにパーッと大部活で盛り上がろうじゃないの。
She's gonna say she has to go, huh? Yeah, perfect! Indeed, in times like these, the best thing to do was obviously get rowdy and scheme against one another in a club activity. It's not happening. There's no way. It's not happening. There's no way.
望むところだよ。ねえ、さとこちゃん。やろうやろう。
さとこが好きだったゲームあるでしょ。ほら、なんだったっけ。なんでも構わないよ。言ってみ。言ってみ。
Mion laughed happily, took out a bunch of games out of the club locker, and lined them up on the desks. I think that was the first time Mion's ever let someone else decide on a game for her. I could tell she was being especially considerate to Satoko, thinking that whatever her circumstances, if we could just enjoy our time together as a group, it might bring some comfort, some diversion. Satoko seemed to understand her feelings too and smiled vaguely, though pleased. But yeah, I knew it. Her head slowly moved side to side.
ありがたいですけど、お気持ちだけで結構ですわ。いろいろしなければならないことがあり
Oh
ますので。
God. Even Rika-chan hung her head in remorse.
おいおいおいおいおい、本気なわけ？部活メンバーが久しぶりに揃ったってのにお流れになっちゃうわけ？敵前逃亡は罰ゲームってのは 快速第何条だったっけ？
やめなよみーちゃん、無理に付き合わせちゃダメだよ。
別におじさんは無理強いしてるわけじゃないよ。
We're literally just trying to not have her go back home.
ただ大盛り上がりした方が絶対に楽しいと思って。
本当にお気持ちだけで嬉しいんですのよ。ご安心なさいませ。次に戦うときは皆さんまとめてでっかい罠にはめてご覧に入れますわ。
I'm almost scared she's gonna die halfway through this chapter. Like that's what I'm kind of feeling. I'm really worried that it's gonna be we can't stop this. Satoko, while insulting us, said she couldn't participate in the club today and apologized. She quickly put her things into her bag and pattered out into the hallway, disappearing. It all happened in the blink of an eye.
さとこ、
Oh. Rika-chan stared lonesomely as her friend hurried home, unable to be part of club activities. Silence filled the classroom. Both the cheerful voice of our classmates in the schoolyard and the voice of the cicadas sounded like they were coming from some faraway world.
チェ、つまんないの？
The silence was broken by Mion's bitterness as he began putting the games on the desk back into the locker. Everyone just stared absently at Satoko's seat, now empty.
リカちゃん、そろそろ話してくれてもいいんじゃないかな。
Rena made as gentle a smile as she possibly could and spoke softly to Rika-chan. Even without hearing it from her, we pretty much knew the situation at this point. Satoko's uncle had broken up with his lover and come back home to Hinamizawa, and he had taken Satoko back home and forced her to do all the housework. And that all had to be pretty rough on her. Thinking this was common knowledge to everyone, I skipped the important part.
だいぶひどいのか？
That could have multiple readings. Maybe Mion and Rena wanted to ask the same question. Nobody spoke. We all just stared, waiting for Rika-chan's reply. Rika-chan still didn't answer us. We were hoping for her to say no, but her silence was a bad enough sign.
去年だっけ、おじ夫婦の元にいた時もこんな状況だったんだろ
うん、あの時は夫婦喧嘩のとばっちりみたいなのがほとんどだったからさ。こうして部活で時間を潰して家にいる時間を極力減らすのも一つの手だったん
Oh
だ
yeah,
けど。
literally. You... Oh my god, wait. Did they make a board game club? Because it's the club that, like, games could go on for a long time, and in doing so, keep her away from home? Is that why it's a board game club? Literally just to keep her away from home as long as possible? Oh no. Oh no. Okay.
今は家事を強制されてるから学校に残ることもできないんだね。
Shit. Satoko's not a slave? Who do you think you are? Ignoring your own inability to live properly and basically putting Satoko under house arrest?
常識的に考えてこんなのおかしいんじゃねえのか？いろいろと状況証拠は必要だろうけど、こういうのって虐待だろ？
I'm very happy. Someone is using the A word,
警察とかに通報できないのかよ？
right?
そうだよね。体罰の証拠とかがあれば警察に通報できると思うよ。
I mean, the fact that she's not allowed to go to school, isn't that enough? Like, isn't it the law to go to school?
あるいはそういうのって地域の民生委員さんとかに相談できないの？
Okay, so people also told me that that Ryukishi used to be a social worker. I'm very happy he's using that clear knowledge here, right? Ren and I kept saying police, police, as though it were nothing, but Mion's response sounded like she thought we were a little naive.
みんな簡単に言ってくれるけどさ、それを立証するリスクを考えたことある？
う。リスクってなんだよ。
一昨年の冬かな。通報したんだよ。
Oh. Oh, you did. Oh no.
児童相談所に。虐待があるからすぐに何とかしてくれって。
そうだったんだ。それで？
電話してすぐにお役所の人が来てくれたよ。で、さとことかさとしとかに事情ついでにおじ夫婦のところにもね。
Did they not believe? Did they not believe the kids, or did they
サト
lie?
コとサトシに聞くまではいいが、おじ夫婦に
Yeah,
まで聞くのはまずいんじゃないのか？
両者の意見を聞いて総合的に判断するんだとさ。
That's stupid.
ご立派ご立派。
Oh no.
で、結果はどうだったの？
様子見。
様子見って
Wow.
なんだよそれ。
おじさんとっても勉強になっちゃったんだけどさ、法律ではね、暴行か育児放棄が認められなきゃ虐待とは言わないんだってさ。
Oh no, he's not just a scumbag parasite. He's studied how to be the most scumbag parasite.
さとこもさとしもよく小づかれてたらしいけど、別に傷跡が残るようなレベルじゃ
Oh
なかった
my
し、
god.
3食の飯も一応食えてたし、心理的外傷を与える言動だって別にカセットテープで証拠があったわけじゃないし、村の人たちだって実際に乱暴してる現場は見たことないからね。いくら意地悪だからって人前で乱暴はしないでしょ。
So they were just the ultimate abusers.
誰だって。
で、その後どうなったの？
Obviously nothing.
しばらくは毎週決まった日に民生委員さんが訪問してたみたい。
Oh cool, go on a schedule.
おじ夫婦も自分たちが見張られてることを気にして、それで済むわけないでしょ普通。
Oh my
よ
god.
り陰湿ないじめ方に加速していったってことだね。
Mion sighed and nodded.
おばのやつが特にねちっこくってさ、女特有の陰湿さっていうのかな。
Well, maybe it's a good thing she's dead.
相当いやらしいことをしてたらしいよ。
What does that mean?
さとこ、最後の方は呼吸するだけのボロ人形みたいだった。
So what? From that conclusion, does that mean they never should have contacted child welfare in the first place?
わかった？
Oh, this is high difficulty!
誰の目にも明らかな虐待の証拠がなかったらお手上げなんだよ。むしろ状況を悪化させかねない。あれは失敗だった。
That sucks! After hearing that even public organizations, the one thing they thought was dependable, couldn't do anything, everyone hung their heads.
つまり、誰の目にも明らかな虐待の証拠が見つかるまで通報すべきでないってことなんだね。
うん。まあ、そういうこと。
God, and like, I'm like, well, why don't we just sneak there and record it on camera? But that's not really a thing at this time. Right? Like, what am I gonna do? Use a friggin' one of them cameras, the instant picture ones, and then shake it out? And like, what, like, at this time, there's no way. I mean, maybe if we get a tape recorder? God, I'm getting angry. I considered Satoko's current situation. She was brought back to her house. It was a little difficult to call that abuse. She was being tormented and forced to do chores. How she was being tormented would be the key. Without concrete evidence, it would be difficult to prove. If she had some kind of external injury, that would work, but as far as we could tell from today, she had nothing like that. And being forced to do the chores, well, that was a bit weak too. There had to be better evidence that she was without a doubt being abused. I know. Her uncle had ignored Satoko's existence for a whole year and went to live with his lover in town. Didn't that fall under one of the definitions of abuse that Mion had mentioned? Child neglect?
うん。それは立派な育児放棄だね。
Yeah.
どうなのみーちゃん。
おじが今もいなければ育児放棄は認定されそうだけど。
Oh, wait, what? Wait, That's like saying, well, I'm not murdering now. I murdered in the past.
今この瞬間は同居してるわけでしょ。
Wow.
今までは別居だったけど、心を入れ替えて同居することにしたな
Oh,
んて言われたら、また様子見なんてことになりかねないよ。
wait, hold up. Is this why he stopped being a social worker? Is this like exposing? Oh my god. Once we reported it, we would need to be absolutely sure they'd interpret it as abuse. Maybe we needed far more concrete evidence, lest we repeat last year's bit my tongue, lest we repeat last year's mistake.
なんだか悲しい。
Right?
ということはつまり、さとこちゃんが乱暴
Oh
さ
my
れて
god.
大きな傷が残るまで黙って見てろってことなんだよね。
The only plan I could think of was, in the end, just waiting and watching. It left me in shock when I realized it would be the same policy as that of the officials who made the situation worse. As Mion said, reporting it to a public agency would be a gamble. If we're gonna pick a fight, it would have to be one we couldn't afford to lose. If we were gambling, without enough money, without enough evidence, our defeat would be assured. If we took the time to amass enough money that we could be sure of victory, that would mean pretending we didn't see Satoko's plight for a considerable amount of time.
こんなところで話を振ってごめんな。リカちゃんはどうして一人暮らしができるんだ？
Rika-chan had lost her parents, if I recalled correctly. From what I heard, she had no relatives either. She was forced to live on her own as a result, but her life was unfettered, free of restriction. If she could somehow grant that freedom to Satoko too.
リカちゃんって両親いないのに生活保護者のいない子供って孤児院みたいなところに入れられちゃうんじゃないっけ？
圭一くん、それひどい。
He's just asking the question that's on his mind.
悪口で言ってるんじゃねえよ。そこにサトコを救うヒントがあるかもしれないと思って聞いてみただけなんだ。リカちゃん、気分を害したならごめんな。
Rika-chan shook her head, not particularly disturbed.
それはですね、実は村長さんちの子供になっているからなのです。
Oh. Like legally?
補足がいるね。村長の君吉のおじいちゃんがリカちゃんの保護者なんだよ。ちゃんと県知事の許可を得た正式な。
養子みたいなものか？
養子とは違う。別に籍を入れなくても保護者にはなれるんだよ。
No, that does make sense.
分かってきた。つまりリカちゃんは普通に暮らしてるけど、法律の上では村長さんの家に住んでることになってるんだね。
まあそんなとこ。そのおかげでリカちゃんは孤児院送りを免れてるってわけ。孤児院っていうか児童養護院のことだけど。
Oh my god, this is again like so This is written by someone who's in the system.
難しいことはよくわかりませんが、つまりはそういうことなのです。
ミオン、今興味深いことを言ったな。席が違っても保護者になれるみたいなことを言ったよな。じゃあ形だけでも村長さんとかがサトコの保護者になってくれればいいんじゃないのか？
Probably can't do that if there is a family member. And she'd be in the same position as Rika-chan. Oh, also, don't people in the village hate her? She'd go back to her old life.
ところがそうはいかないの。だっておじだって保護者のつもりなんだもん。
Already signed as a guardian.
ちょっと待て、わけがわからなくなったぞ。そもそも保護者ってなんだ？
Oh, wow, okay, but you don't even know. In legal terms, a guardian and a parent weren't necessarily synonyms. So, whoever was actually looking after her at home would be considered her guardian.
なら、おじは保護者じゃないな。ずっとサトコをほったらかしにしてた。
でも保護者だと主張されたらそれまでだよ。サトコが連れ戻されてから数日。その間の食事代はおじの財布から出てるよね。一応面倒を見てると主張できなくもない。それに1年間サトコをほったらかしたとはいえ、最初の1年間は生活の面倒を見た実績がある。でも村長にはその実績はない。
意地悪なおじさんと村長さんが同時に保護者を主張したら、おじさんの方が強いってこと？
その可能性が高いってこと。それに保護者ってのは実際に面倒を見てる人を指すんだよ。実際に寝床や食事を握ってるおじと名義だけ貸そうとしてる村長じゃどうにもならない。
This is so infuriating. And I can absolutely tell this is written from the perspective of someone who's seen this firsthand.
じゃあ村長が実際に生活の面倒を見ればいいじゃないか。
This couldn't be written by someone who like this feels venomous. This feels written. It almost feels like this was written, this game was made for this scene so far. Like, I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it wasn't the main plan, but it really does feel like this is a bad job experience exploding out.
そうすれば名実ともに村長が保護者になれるんだろう。
We just need to shelter Satoko. That might lead to her uncle being desperate to take her back, but will stubbornly refuse him. Oh my god, you're
そ
so
んな簡単にはい
shonen.
かないよ。
That's not how it
サトコは
works.
育ち盛りの女の子なんだよ。人間一人の面倒を見てくださいなんて猫の子預けるのとはわけが違う。
じゃあ監督はどうだよ。監督ってよくは知らないけど裕福なんだろ。自分で言ってたくらいなんだし、本当の親でなくても保護者になれるなら監督でも可能なんだ。監督ならサトコの面倒を立派に見てくれる気がする。
だからサトコをペットみたいに考えないでって。ケイちゃんはさっきからサトコを誰かに押し付ける話ばっかり。人間一人の生活の面倒を見る責任ってものをもっと慎重に考
Oh
えて。
my god.
監督に聞いたの。サトコを引き取って面倒を見るってちゃんと確約を得たわけ。
そんなのを得て、でも監督なら絶対に OK するだろ
まあいいよ。100歩譲って監督が OK したとするよ。でもダメなんだよ。保護者は独身じゃダメなんだよ。
Ah, that's right. Coach, didn't he say it himself? He was alone, so he couldn't do it. Shit, what the hell? Why is being single such a disadvantage in this society? Oh, this feels scathing. And all you could do is marry into a wealthy family, couldn't you?
ひなみ沢にそんなお金持ちはいるのかな。難しそう。
ね、簡単じゃないんだよ。人間一人引き取るってのは誰かに押し付けようなんて短絡的な考えがそもそもダメなの。考えが浅いんだよ、ケイちゃんは。
なんなんだよ、チクショー。
He's just trying to look for a solution. He's thinking there has to be one. But this is an institutional problem.
俺は必死にサトコを救おうと考えてるのに、ダメだってそればっかり。お前ら本当はサトコのことなんかどうでもいいんだろ。仲間のこと本気で心配してないんだろ。どうなんだよ。
そんな。
He's just trying, and like, I equally see both their perspectives here.
そんなつもり。でもそう簡単にはいかないっていうか。
Meanwhile, Rena's just thinking about the ways to kill him.
そんな難しい話じゃねえだろ。
And like, that's also an equally valid perspective.
裕福な奴がサトコをしばらく面倒見てくれればいい。そうだ、ミオンチはどうだよ。
Oh, buddy. Oh, that's a can of fish you don't even want to get
お
into.
前、御三家とかいう立派な家柄なんだって自慢してたよな。話じゃものすごいでかい家に住んでるそうじゃないか。
うち無理。そんなのバチャが許してくれるはずない。
じゃあ沖宮に住んでる親はどうだよ。聞いた話じゃこっちもかなりの豪邸に住んでるらしいじゃないか。町には親類の経営する店がたくさんあるそうだし、立派な資産家じゃないかよ。おい、
ダメ。
Yeah, so here's the problem. She bragged a little bit about too much about, her family and stuff, to the point where we know this. Except, that's all crime related, which you don't want to put her into.
沖宮の家なんてもっとダメ。うちのお父さんそんなの絶対に許さない。
おい、普段は散々大物ぶりを自慢しといて、ここ一番で及び腰かよ。
Why is it playing that noise?
なんなんだよ。お前 里子を見殺しにする気かよ。
Why is it playing the freak out noise? The freak out wind.
そんなつもりはないけど。
Is it a representation of this rift driving or our mental state? What's going on?
私だって里子は助けてやりたいよ。でもそれとこれじゃ話が。
Yeah, that's play last chapter.
話が違うってのかよ。冷てえやつ。
Damn. Oh my god.
仲間の危機だろ。ここで救わなかったら何なんだよ。部長だろ。部活の。救えよ。仲間の危機をよ。今ここで救わなかったら仲間じゃねえ。人じゃねえ。
I'm sensing a little bit of tension among the club right now. Let's calm down a bit, fellas.
お前の人間性が問われてるんだよ。
Oh no.
聞いてるのかよ。ミオン。
My emotions all exploded out of me. I didn't even give her a chance to say anything in response. I just wanted to make Mion agree with me, even if I had to force her. If she did, Satoko's problems would be solved. If pushing her would solve the issue, then I'd push her as much as I needed to.
何さっきから黙り込んでんだよ。聞いてるのかこの野郎。どうなんだよ。なんとか言ってるよ。その先ミオン。
みー
Mion, looking down with a grim face, began sobbing. Her hands were clenched into trembling fists, and she rubbed her eyes to wipe away the tears. Was what I said actually that? I mean, buddy, you said she has no humanity left in her. Like, you called her calling her an asshole's one thing. But the stuff about you're not her friend, you're not human, you have no humanity left, that's probably one of the worst things you could say to a person. Ever. This wasn't the time to cry. We're in the gambling room now, and we have to do something to save Satoko. And as I thought that, Rena spoke, her voice cold and incredibly calm.
ケイチくん、みーちゃんちがダメなら他の裕福な家を探したら？私、ひなみ沢に立派な豪邸建てて住んでる人知ってるよ。
You're not talking about us, are you? Are we wealthy? My dad draws porn.
誰だよ。
白々しいよ。あれだけ立派な家に住んでて、自分の家だけは蚊帳の外。
My dad draws porn.
俺んちかよ。俺の家は。
仲間なんでしょ？救ってよ、ケイチくんが。
Oh no, she's just doing this to show what it's like. What she's just throwing it back at us to show us what we're doing to Mion.
みーちゃんはダメだってさ、冷たいから。じゃあ仲間思いのケイチくんがお手本示さなきゃダメだね。
Oh, this might be the angriest we've seen Rena.
あれだけ大きなお家に家族3人で住んでるんだっけ？じゃあ空き部屋なんかいくらでもあるよね。
Oh, she's pissed.
余ってるお部屋、いくつかさとこちゃんに分けてあげればいいじゃない。それでめでたくさとこちゃんの悩みは解決。あら何？これでもう終わり？あっけない話だったね。はいはい、解決、お疲れ様。じゃあもう今日はいい？私帰るね。ランランラン。今日は久しぶりに宝探しにでも行こうかな。昨日まではずっとさとこちゃんのことが心配で全然遊ぶ気になんかならなかったし、今日はどんな宝物が見つかるかな。はう。なんか言ってよ。
I think this is the most uncomfortable any dialogue in a video game has made me feel. That vocal performance was so... I can't breathe.
私だけ喋りずくめ？黙ってんじゃないわよ。聞いてんの？前原圭一。
No, like deserved. Like this is the most deserved sprite ever. Yeah. No, deserved. Even the cicadas seemed to cower in fear. Rena, her shoulders bobbing up and down, and me who had forgotten to breathe. Oh my god, see, right? Mion, whose face had gone completely pale, and Rika-chan, who was keeping silent as if nothing had happened. The atmosphere in the classroom grew tight and stiff, and it petrified us where we stood. Rattle. The sound of the chair as Rena sat back down after having stood up, finally allowing everyone present to take a breath. Rena had shown me just how much I'd hurt Mion.
レナが怖いのです。
Rena is terrifying, and that's a positive. After a few moments, Rika-chan cut into the frozen air.
ごめんね、リカちゃん。みーちゃんもごめん。ケイチくんには謝らなくてもいいよね。
Oh my god! Oh my god! Rena might be my favorite. Because, again, this is entirely justified, right? Like everything that's happened so far, like I see everyone's side here, but I feel like Rena here, the fact that she's not backing down, I love that. I think it'd be so easy to just diffuse the situation and be like, I'm sorry for what I said. No, she's not sorry. She said, she's basically going like, no, I'm showing you what you did. I'm sorry to everyone else in the room, but you needed to see. Holy shit, this game.
ああ、ごめん。めちゃくちゃなこと言って悪かった。
It's gonna take a bit to come back from this one, buddy.
さっきのあれ、私に言ってたの？みーちゃん睨みながら言ってたから、私てっきりみーちゃんに言ってるもんだとばかり思ってた。
Oh my god. Oh my god, she's even saying, why are you apologizing to me? Is Rena the most emotionally intelligent video game character of all time? Rena had such strength that you wouldn't have imagined it normally. All I did was spout terrible things as a violent wave of violent fury passed over me. I couldn't contend with
ミオン
her.
ごめん。頭に血が上ってた。
Come to think of it, I didn't understand what had got me that riled up. I thought of myself as Satoko's Nini, so I only had good intentions, but I think about it a little harder than everyone else, and yet...
うん、いいよ。私こそケイちゃんが一生懸命悩んでるのに、あれはダメこれはダメばっかり言って、ごめんね。私も悪かった。
Mion rubbed away the tears at the corners of her eyes with her fists and apologized as well. We bowed our heads to each other and looked down without glancing at the other. Someone, I don't know who, heaved a sigh. Satoko, being tormented, had been known about since last year. How had that tragedy back then saved Satoko? How had they brought it to an end? Like I'm saying, we gotta kill him! Right. In the end, nobody could do anything. All they could do was bear it patiently and wait for those agonizing days to end. That's right. The one who brought an end to those terrible days was some crazy drug addict nobody knew. On the night of the Tatarigoroshi last year, their mean aunt had been beaten to death. Okay. They say it's a crazy drug addict, but... is that guy just a fall guy then, maybe? If it's just a fall guy, and it was him, I think that makes more sense, right? But it hadn't been done to save Satoko or Satoshi. Right. It really was just a coincidence. Satoko's friends who needed to do something for her most of all could do nothing. The incident may have been a tragic one, but from Satoko's viewpoint, it was nothing less than a miracle. Yes, a miracle. A miracle one could only wait for.
待つしかないのかよ、俺たちには。
Not for evidence of abuse. Not for something that minor.
何をかな。
奇跡。
No one made fun of me for using such a crazy word. We couldn't come up with any solutions, so it was the only thing we could do.
無力なんだよ、私たちは。
That one word Mion dropped was the finishing blow. It was hot. My body was sticky with sweat. The worst month, June. The only thing I could see is us killing him. Is this the We Become Murderers chapter? Like, where do we go? Do we talk to our parents about this? I walked forward quite a ways, and then turned right where the rice fields ended. I'd never come here before, so I had no idea where to go. Oh wait, are we going? I got lost several times, so I may have taken the long way around. Maybe I should have gone back home and got my bike first. It would have made everybody else worry if I'd asked them, so I asked one of our other classmates where Satoko's actual house was. That house was originally her family's, apparently, not their uncle and his wife's. Their house had been bigger, so they had it taken for themselves. Right here. Several houses all in a line. Over there? I was visiting Satoko's house, but didn't particularly intend to meet her there. I didn't mean to spy on the enemy, her mean uncle either. Are we gonna see this dude? Maybe I just wanted to be a little close to her, as her Nini. Pretty words, but I didn't know if they were true. Is this it here? Alright, what do we got? Gourd on the door. That electricity looks very unsafe. I don't think that pass, muster. I don't know what those suitcases by the ladder are. Very strange. If what Tomina-kun and the others told me was right, it'd be this house. When I recognized it, my feet grew heavy. What did I come here for? Oh, just saying you recognize that it's the right one. My motive for coming here was absurd. When Mion had said at the end that we were powerless, well, it made me sort of frustrated. I just wanted to do something, anything other than waste the days away praying for a miracle. That's what made me come here. But that was all. Even if I were to witness her uncle actually tormenting Satoko, what could I do? Act like a comic book hero, punch the guy in the face, and take Satoko away with me? And then live together somewhere far away? That was ridiculous.
無力だ。
The cicadas' voices, raised in chorus, sounded like they were scoffing at me. As though they were saying that I couldn't go do anything and wouldn't do anything, that I should just go back home. Oh my god, do we? Oh no. Oh no! I heard a car approaching, so I got out of its way. But the car stopped right behind me, its horn honking shortly once. This could be one of two people. This could be the uncle, bad, or this is Oishi, also bad, annoyed. Oh god, never mind. Hadn't I gotten out of their way? I looked behind me, and a familiar face was looking at me out of the driver's seat window. Oi, oi, my bar. No, thank God! Okay. I was so worried. Oi, oi, my bar. Ugh.
こんにちは、前原さん。こんなところでお会いするとは本当に奇遇です。お家は近くなんですか？
Me being here wasn't normal. Just as I considered somehow giving him the slip, I noticed Satoko sitting in the passenger's seat.
さとこ？
So wait, huh? Satoko got out of the car and began unloading a lot of groceries from the trunk.
買い物の帰りに偶然監督にお会いしたんですのよ。送ってくださるというのでお言葉に甘えたのですわ。
自転車でこんなに買い物をしたら運びきれませんからね。
As Coach spoke, he pulled Satoko's bike out from the back seat where they'd put it. Grocery bags were big, and there were 4 of them. They all seemed to be packed full and very
こ
heavy,
の袋セブンスマート
like 7-Eleven.
おいおい自転車で行くにはちょっと遠すぎないか
I looked at the bags. Oh, God. And saw they were filled to the brim with sake bottles, snacks you'd eat with sake, and boxes of cigarettes. You can sell those to a child? In Japan? Oh my god, this chapter is gonna kill me. Their weight was one thing, but their contents were nothing less than luxury items.
監督のおかげで助かりましたわ。
Did he have to buy the cigs?
ちょっと坂道は辛かったですから。
Oh my god. Saturday? Is that, like, the only thing I can think of that's worse than, the dad leaving to go get cigarettes is forcing the child to go get cigarettes. That's ridiculous. Satoko gave Coach a smile filled with gratitude, but it was incredibly awkward and even heartrending.
さとここの買い物今晩の晩飯ってわけじゃないだろ
Buddy, she's not eating cigarettes.
当然ですわ。私、お酒なんか飲めませんし、おつまみも嫌いですし、タバコなんか吸うわけ。
He made Satoko go to a distant store by herself on her bike so she could buy dumb shit like this? What was that uncle doing right now anyway? Must have been working hard, working up a good sweat at this very moment if he needed to send Satoko out by herself, right? If not, then how much? How much had Satoko suffered for no reason? I hadn't intended to voice my feelings, but I may have made it onto my face. Coach might have noticed because he clapped me on my shoulder. Oh boy. Here we go. Just then, one of the house windows clattered open, and the face of a vulgar man, the very sight of which made me immediately avert my eyes, emerged from within. There were no self-introductions necessary. My gut told me that this was the uncle in question. Are we going to see him? The first thing out of his mouth should have been words of gratitude for Satoko.
さとこ缶のガスかけっぱなしで出よったんなこの
ごめんなさい。でもすぐに買いに行けって言ったから。
やかましいわせっかくの近所台無しにしよってんどうしよったんじゃ
ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい。
Oh god, no, she's abused. Like, Satoko miserably apologized over and over, bowing again and again. She could be perfectly described as a small animal. I had no idea what was happening. Satoko finished shopping all this heavy stuff that wasn't even for dinner. Only managed to come back because she ran into Coach and he drove her home. If she hadn't been found by him, she'd surely still be by herself, panting and moaning, pedaling her bicycle up that steep hill. What was with those words, those horrible sleazy words that he just said to Satoko? In what country's dictionary did it tell him to say such things to a young girl who just finished shopping? My anger, of course, wouldn't reach him. The uncle displayed no interest in me, instead shouting at Coach.
おや入江の先生じゃないですかこんにちはそしたら先生も上がっていきますかもうオーラスですからすぐ入れますよピンのワンツー何でもありで
Oh god, and it's not even just him. Oh god, it's not even just him. It's a bunch of losers.
いえ遠慮します。さとこちゃんとは偶然お会いしたんで すぐに失礼します。
そんなちょっとぐらいやってってくださいな。先生お金持ちじゃないですか。
I didn't even understand what our uncle and coach were talking about. But I knew one thing for sure. None of what he just said had been to thank Satoko in any way.
さとこ、とっととカキも持ってこんかい。ビールも冷めてもうた。冷蔵庫から冷えてるの出してくれな。
てっちゃん、娘に厳しすぎや。もうちょい言いたわらんとかいそうやで。
You know what's bad? When your shitty friends are telling you.
あんな娘にゃ兄貴んちにいた頃からそうだよ。甘やかすと親の言うことをなんも聞かんやっちゃよ。たく
それよか、てっちゃんの妻だぜよ。
椿さんリーチしよったで。
It's Mahjong.
おお、悪い悪い。なんね。椿、あんたまたリーチかいな。
Looked like it wasn't just her uncle, some of his shitty friends were over. Hey, wait. What was he... No, wait, what were they doing? Flinging rude words left and right, making Satoko go shopping for your beer. What were they doing?
町からおじさまのお友達が来てて、麻雀やってますの。お友達のお夕食もご用意するように言われてますのよ。
なんだよそれ。
Mahjong? Called his friends over for Mahjong? They're too busy playing, so they sent Satoko to buy them a crapload of booze from a faraway store. And the first thing he said to her was how she left the gas on? What the hell? What the hell? What the hell?
何やってんだよあいつ。麻雀ってそんなのに遊びほうけてサトコにこんなのを買いに行かせるのかよ。
Even though Coach was listening, he pretended he wasn't. There was a line of heavy-looking shopping bags lined up on the ground next to the trunk.
さあ、前原さんも手伝ってあげてください。
We're going in?
ほら、男の子なんですから、
We're
こっ
going
ちの
in.
重い袋を持ちましょう。
監督、こんなのまかり通っていいんですか。こんなの絶対に。
Coach pretended he hadn't heard that violent outburst either. When I thought about it later, his reaction might have been the best thing he could do in this situation.
私も2つ持ちますから、ほら、前原さんも持つのを手伝ってあげてください。
Bags were packed to the brim with bottles of sake and bar snacks. They were so heavy and so filthy, so unfair. They weren't just heavy in terms of weight. It made me feel mortified. Nothing could have been heavier than that.
ケイチさん、無理しないでいいんですのよ。私も持ちますわ。
Satoko mistook my biting back the humiliation as grimacing under the weight and offered to
バ
help.
カ、俺をなめるな。
Satoko had never looked down on my physical strength in the slightest.
監督もすみませんわね。重いでしょ。
No, not at all, answered Coach, smiling vaguely. Coolly, but I and I alone knew. Coach was an adult, so he knew how to keep his feelings from showing. There was even more anger than I was feeling burning deep in his eyes.
いや、重いですね。
Ah, shit. Shit! Wasn't very far at the doorstep of Satoko's house, but the bag squeezed my palms, and started leaving red marks. Fury welled up in me, and the back of my throat stung. But even if it all came gushing out, it wouldn't solve anything. So, just tightly gritting my teeth was as much as I could do.
本当にありがとうございますですわ。監督もケイチさんもおかげで本当に助かりましたでございます。
After we carried them to the back door, oh, we're not going in. Satoko said that was enough. Occasionally, we'd hear the repulsive laughter of her uncle and his friends from within, and my insides would seethe. I knew they weren't ridiculing us. That was why it made me so mad. They'd made Satoko shop for all of this heavy, selfish stuff, then ignored her and laughed amongst themselves as they pleased. It was deeply aggravating. Of course, Coach had to feel the same way. If he accidentally let his feelings slip into his face, he'd only cause Satoko more worry. He knew all that and spoke coolly, as if to say he didn't care.
いいえ、ささやかでもお力になれたなら、お手伝いできそうなことがあったらいつでも言ってくださいね。
ええ、お気持ちだけでも本当に嬉しいですわ。
That he feels that way. Those words were sad. Satoko herself was sad and resigned that we could only help her so much. But she was right. No matter how much Coach or I wanted to help Satoko, this was as much as we could do. I felt absolutely ashamed at not having the power to help her any more than this. Burning, boiling emotions were bubbling up within me and rising into my throat, trembling all over. I almost started to cry from my
俺
fury.
も力になれることがあったらいつでも力を貸すから、頑張れよな。
I wanted to at least give her those trite words, saying that I'd help her whenever she wanted.
ええ、ありがとうございますわ。わざわざこうしてここまで来てくださっただけでも嬉しかったですわ。
Satoko seemed to have guessed what I was doing in a place like this, and my house was in the opposite direction from school.
さあ、もう行った方がよろしいですわ。今は酔っ払ってますから、どんな難癖をつけられるかわかりませんわよ。
I just... She felt guilty getting us involved after we'd helped her, because she wanted to be the only one to suffer this misfortune. That's how it looked. And it hurt. I handed my supermarket bag over to Satoko, and then I noticed on the back of Satoko's hand there was something that looked like a bruise.
おい、サトコ、このあざ、どうしたんだよ。
I knew as much as anyone else how transparent that sounded. I didn't need to hear it from Satoko to know how this bruise came to be.
階段で転んだ時にちょっと打っただけですのよ。気になさらないでくださいませ。
So, for those of you who don't know, that's a common euphemism or lie about child abuse, right? The common things are the child fell down the stairs, or the child ran into a doorknob, right? Or the corner of a table. Those are what they say, and it's not, right? We know. Like, that's code. That's code, absolutely, right? Which of course, you know, one of the big ones there that people kind of jump to is like Queen in One Piece, where they use that phrase. But I actually think in that case it was legitimate, which itself is kind of a, you know, flipping over of the ideas. But no, they fell down the stairs. Like, how do you bruise your hand falling down the stairs? That's not possible. Think about it. What would you do? How would that work? Right? You don't bruise your hand that way.
嘘だろ。
Coach nudged me in the back. And then he put his index finger to his mouth for chide me for being so loud.
本当にありがとうございましたですわ。では明日、学校でお会いできるといいですわね。
I hope we can see each other at school.
そんな話して
Oh
ない
my
だろ。
god.
その手のあざはどうしたって聞いてるんだよ。
The evening glow finally got to the point where I could see the other concealed oval-shaped bruises and traces of swelling on her neck and her legs. Other places too. On her legs? Oh
階段から落ち
god.
たんですの。
The very moment my violent, rampaging emotions were about to burst their way out of my throat. Oh no, he's grabbing us. I found my mouth being tightly clamped down on. coach was pressing down my mouth down on my mouth from behind, wrapping around me tightly with his hands. Because of that, I couldn't say anything. I could only groan, which I did. That was all I could do. I needed to expel all the magma sitting deep within me, because otherwise I'd surely explode into a million pieces at that very moment. So I groaned, and I groaned from my mouth, from my whole body, while heat fell in drops from my eyes. I groaned and groaned and groaned to the point of exhaustion. I wrung absolutely everything out of myself. Even having lost my voice, I was still wringing it all out.
気持ちはわかります。わかりますから前原さん、今だけこらえてください。お願いですから。前原さん。
Endure it for now? And then what, huh? What would happen to her, to Satoko? Her body and mind were wounded, and she was being made to suffer like this. Can you not even let me howl in vain at it? Is that it, coach? Are we this powerless? So powerless that we can't even fucking scream from the bottom of our hearts? The voices of the Higurashi made me calm down. I didn't know how long it had been. Satoko abruptly gave a slight bow.
ありがとうございますですわ、ケイチさん。
さとこ。
今、ケイチさんが本当のニーニーみたいに見えました。
I'm going to die.
私の本当のニーニーはいなくなってしまったけど、私にはケイチさんというニーニーがいてくれる。
Guys, I'm actually going to cry. I'm holding it
そう
in.
だ。俺がお前のニーニーだ。お前が辛い時絶対に助けてやるから。ニーニーがサトコをきっと助けてやるからな。
Satoshi Hojo, you fucking idiot. If not now, then when? Satoko, she's never been in more pain in her life. If her Nini doesn't save her now, then when will he? Why did you run away? Why did you abandon her? Why did you leave Satoko behind? You don't have any right to call yourself Satoko's Nini.
逃げないからな。絶対に逃げない。サトシみたいにお前を見捨てて逃げたりしない。絶対に俺はお前を見捨てない。
Slip. Tears trickled down from Satoko's eyes. And then she narrowed her eyes into a smile.
さよなら、ニーニー。
Satoko took her right hand and awkwardly waved to me.
大丈夫ですわ。今のニーニーので私いっぱい力をもらいましたから。大丈夫。明日まで頑張れますから。大丈夫だから今日はさよならでございますわよ。
There was no way I could say bye, see you tomorrow. And then from inside the house came a throaty, disgusting voice.
サトコ、はよ乾きも持ってこんかい。
さあ、ニーニー、早く行ってくださいませ。もう私は大丈夫ですから、早く。
行きましょう。前原さん。
Like even I'm thinking of solutions. I'm like, we have a teacher, well, a coach, who sees the abuse and the fact that they will take into consideration by talking to the uncle and it's going to be a net zero. I want to die.
これ以上はかえってサトコちゃんに迷惑をかけます。
監督、ニーニーのお家はちょっと遠いんですの。
Ask
申し
me,
訳ござい
yeah,
ま
to
せんが、
drive.
送ってあげていただけます？
ええ、わかりました。
Coach grabbed me by my collar, and with strength I couldn't have imagined him having, started dragging me away. And I, unable to oppose him, started getting farther away from Satoko. She waved her hand to us, expression still dark, and disappeared through the back door. Coach got into the car first, then turned around on the narrow path and brought the passenger side door around for me.
前原さんの気持ちは痛いくらいにわかります。いえ、前原さん以上にわかるつもりです。でも、今この場だけはこらえてください。あなたの心は確かに伝わりましたから。だから、こらえてください。でないと。
もう分かってます。すみません。さっきはありがとうございました。
I meekly got into the passenger's seat. The car accelerated quietly, and Satoko's house grew farther and farther away in the rearview mirror. We made a wide turn, and then I couldn't see her house anymore.
え？あなたのお家、そんな遠くなんですか？学校の反対側じゃないですか。
I didn't bother to reply. I would have been hard-pressed to give him an answer as to why I was at Satoko's house. Coach didn't say anything more either. For a while, the two of us were silent, the only sounds from the gravel spraying over the road as we drove. I remember how Rena said things were different than last year. At the time, she had Satoshi with her. Satoshi protected Satoko, so that less of the sparks fell onto her.
でも今はサトシはいない。
はい、残酷ですが、それが事実です。
Coach seemed to understand what I really meant when I said that.
悲しく、あまりに残酷な話ですが、私たちの決意や努力、尽力には限界があります。
It sounded like an excuse, but he was right. Even if Coach and I wanted to be people Satoko could depend on, that was all. It ended at the front door. No matter how much I shouted that I would be her Nini, no matter how much I shouted that I wouldn't abandon her, no matter how much Satoko called me her Nini, I couldn't do any more than that.
サトシは一体どこに行っちまったんですか？
Right. Satoshi was another story. Her actual brother, Satoshi, he was in a position to protect her far, far better than we ever could. That was the cold, sad truth of the massive gulf between Satoshi and
今
us.
頃、どこでどうしているんでしょう。
Satoshi left home. I didn't know why. Maybe it was because of Oyashiro-sama's curse, or he disappeared or something. In any case, he wasn't beside Satoko now. At the time Satoko needed him to protect her most, he wasn't there.
どうして今ここにいないんですか？一番守ってやらなければならないこの時に。
お社様のたたりがどうとかいろいろ言われてますが、家出したとしか言えません。
ある日を境に帰ってこないって仲間が言ってました。妹の聡子に書き置き一つ残さずに家出を。
サトシ君はコツコツとアルバイトをしてたんです。聡子ちゃんが当時とても大きなぬいぐるみを欲しがってましてね。結構いい値段らしくて、そのためにアルバイトをいろいろとしていたらしいんです。妹思いの兄でしたからね。おじ夫婦のもとで不憫な生活を強いられている妹に少しでも立派な誕生日プレゼントを贈ろうとしているんじゃないかってみんなささやき合っていました。
In the end, he didn't use his savings for a birthday present for Satoko.
サトシ君がいなくなり、警察がいろいろと調べたら、サトシ君の貯金が当日すべて本人によって下ろされていることが分かりました。方々をいろいろと調べた結果、その貯金を資金に東京の方に行ったんではないかということになりました。
Yeah, finding a person there is probably very difficult.
東京？何しに？
家出としか言いようがないじゃないですか。
自分が逃げ出すための資金をコツコツと貯めて、そこまでは勝手ですよ。でも聡子を置いてくことはないじゃないですか。同じ家出するなら聡子も連れて行くべきだった。
Even now, Coach was still calm. He wasn't trying to pour any oil on the fire of my anger at all. He just waited until my anger naturally subsided. After listening to gravel being crushed under wheels for a little while, Coach spoke abruptly.
察してください。置いていかれたさとこちゃんも同じ考えに至ったんです。
I'm a burden on my... Aw. No. I'm a burden on my brother, and that's why he abandoned me. He didn't take her with him when he left. How terrible! Must Satoko have felt being betrayed by the brother she loved so much.
でもさとこちゃんはとても強い人でした。もちろん親しい友人たちの支えもあってのことでしたが、ああして笑顔を取り戻すことができました。
I recalled how Satoko had spoken of Satoshi so brightly when I was eating dinner with her and Rika-chan a few days ago. At the time, I didn't think anything more of it than how pleasant their sibling love must have been. But now that I did think about it, I realized it was like she was peering into the distance from atop a pile of tragic perseverance.
サトシ君はきっと帰ってくる。その時までにお荷物じゃなくなった自分を見てほしいって。
サトコはお荷物なんかじゃないですよ。あいつ俺なんかよりよっぽど生活力はあるし、大抵のことは何だってできる。そりゃレナやリカちゃんなんかと比べれば踊る点はたくさんあるかもしれないけど、そこいらのやつよりよっぽど一人前ですよ。
サトシ君がいつ帰ってきてもいいように、そういう風になれるよう努力した結果です。涙ぐましい努力があったんですよ。
She lived with Rika-chan. Well, Rika-chan taught her how to handle everything flawlessly. Also that she could welcome back Satoshi at any time. So that she could show him she wasn't ashamed.
で、そのサトシはいつ帰ってくるんですか？
I asked Coach, but knew he wouldn't be able to answer. In any case, Satoshi ran away. He left Satoko and ran away from Hinamizawa. Someone said that when you leave Hinamizawa and run away, Yashiro-sama's curse gets you, right? And that made sense. Satoshi running away and his disappearance, well, that would obviously mean people thought it was the curse, right? And they could smile. As though it were his own fault. As though he got what he deserved. Hey, Oyashiro-sama, whoever you are. Satoshi didn't vanish because he ran away. You demoned him away with your curse, didn't you? That's not what happened, then I won't forgive you.
サトシはいつ頃逃げ出したんですか？
去年の綿流しのお祭りの夜、おばが異常者に殺されて、その数日後のサトコちゃんの誕生日です。
Oh, God.
サトコの誕生日に？
Bang. I slammed my hands onto the dashboard in front of me with all my might. Satoshi, of all the days he could have chosen to run away. Their aunt just died a few days before, didn't she? All your days of suffering were about to end, weren't they? You were just about to start thinking about a new life, weren't you? It's wrong to be happy about someone dying, but for Satoko and her brother, her birthday had come at a critical turning point. Their mean uncle had fled town and the siblings would be left alone. They should have been able to be happy about that. On Satoko's birthday. Satoko's probably waiting for her brother to return the whole time. Waiting for her brother to return when he never did. Waiting with bated breath for her brother to return. Her hopes and dreams of a new life to come growing even larger. But no matter how long she waited, he didn't come back. He didn't even contact her. Satoko trembling in anticipation of a great present. Just when? When would she have to face the cold, terrible truth? Satoshi, you fucking idiot. I could feel my blood rising into my head in anger at Satoshi. I was frustrated. I was aggravated. I couldn't forgive him. Satoko still respected and adored her brother, and yet he so heartlessly betrayed her. Such a person wouldn't just come back now when he was most needed. Yes, no one would protect her. Not even her real brother Satoshi.
だからあなたがニーニーだと認めてもらえて嬉しかったです。
え？
私もさとこちゃんの幸せを祈る一人ですが、社会的立場があり日中は仕事をしている身です。私がさとこちゃんのために割いてあげられる時間は少ない。でもあなたは違います。学校で生活を共にし、さとこちゃんやさとしくんとも年はほとんど離れていない。あなたは自分ができることに限りがあると思っていますが、それでも私よりはずっとさとこちゃんに手を差し伸べられる場所にいるのです。だから私の分までさとこちゃんの力になってあげてほしい、そう願っています。
そんなことは監督だって。
もちろん年季のある私だからこそできる助けだって、同じようにあなたにしかできない助けだってあるということです。私たちは互いにそれを全うすべきだと申し上げたいのです。
Is that a little too complicated? Coach added that, but I shook my head in response. When I heard him say he had job skills, it reminded me that he was an adult in a different position from all of us. Maybe I should ask him about it.
監督は法律とか詳しいですか？
いえ、平均的に疎いですが、何か。
At least he's honest. But back to when I argued with Mion and the others about Satoko. Our children's argument had only left us with the conclusion that we had to wait and see, but what would an adult think?
児童福祉法でしたっけ。児童の安全を確保するために緊急措置として親子を分離させるという方法があるそうです。
緊急措置？じゃあすぐに聡子をおじの元から救い出せるということじゃないですか。
聡子ちゃんがそれを望まないかもしれません。虐待されている本人が避難を望まなければ弱いでしょうから。
聡子が望まない？どうして？
Coach didn't answer me. I didn't know why he didn't. It was clear as day that Satoko's uncle was being violent and treating her like a slave. So then why? I clamped down on my frenzied emotions and waited intently for Coach to answer. But he never did. It wasn't like he was pretending he hadn't heard me. I had to say it was more like he wanted to explain, but couldn't put it into the right words.
聡子ちゃんは多分そういういじめに耐えるのを試練だと考えているかもしれません。
試練？変な宗教じゃあるまいし。
ご存知と思いますが、サトシ君は聡子ちゃんをずっとかばってきました。聡子ちゃんもずっとサトシ君に頼ってきました。甘えてきたと言うべきかもしれません。
I'd known for a while that Satoshi had always protected Satoko from their aunt and uncle, but that was his duty as an older brother, not something to worry about.
それがトラウマになったかもしれないんですよ。自分が兄にもたれかかりすぎたから、兄が自分を嫌ってしまったんではないかってね。
And for Satoko, the current situation was a retelling of the story of a little over a year ago. But this time, Satoshi wasn't here.
だから誰にも頼らずに自分の力だけで試練を乗り越えたい。そういう力を身につけなければサトシ君は帰ってこない。
God, there is no good answers for any of this.
そういう考えになっていると私は考えます。
Now that he mentioned it, Satoko had never said a word about how hard it had been before. I figured she was being threatened not to talk about it, but
みんなと相談して児童相談所とかに通報すべきかなんて話をしてました。
聞いてますよね。昨年も福祉士さんがサトコちゃんのところに行ってるのは。
はい、結局様子見で余計にいじめられたって話も。
あれ、サトコちゃんが自分で通報したらしいんです。
oh, wasn't Mion.
でその結果余計いじめが水面下へ移行してエスカレートした。サトコちゃんに降りかかるいじめも増え、それをかばうサトシ君の負担も著しく増えた。
ひょっとして聡子、それ通報した自分の責任だなんて思ってるんじゃ。
Coach nodded
多
quietly.
分サトコちゃんに通報の話をするととても嫌がるが、その必要はないと強がりを言うと思います。サトコちゃんに内緒で通報したとしても福祉士に対して 自分は虐待を受けていないと言い張るでしょうね。
Satoko always acts tough and doesn't readily admit defeat, so I could imagine that easily.
一応児童相談所には裁判所の許可も当事者の許可も一切不要で緊急措置ができる強い権限があるんだそうです。虐待が公然の事実ならさとこちゃんが否定しても身柄は強制的に保護されるでしょう。それはさとこちゃんにとっては負けを意味するものなのかもしれま
What
せん。
do we do besides kill him?
勝ち負けの問題じゃないですよ。サトコは現実に。
話を折りますが、身柄が保護されると養護院等の施設に送致されます。そうするとですね、そこで暮らすことになるので、つまり引っ越しということになります。ですから学区変更で転校にもなります。
転校は仕方ないです。それであいつが保護されるなら。
さとこちゃんはその辺の事情も知っています。だからますます保護を望みません。
どうして？
あの家でサトシ君の帰りを待つのが
Oh.
さとこちゃんの生きる理由だからですよ。兄に捨てられ廃人同然になりかけた少女が何に生きる理由を見出したか、あなたのでなくさとこちゃんの価値観で考えてあげてください。
So, like, the biggest thing that's hitting me right now is I'm an older brother and I moved away. And I'm gonna go tomorrow because it's too late now. I'm going to phone my sister and tell her I love her and that I didn't leave because, like, I need to let her know that. Ugh, I'm gonna cry. I felt like he was trying to confuse me with that hard to understand roundabout way of talking so unique to adults. The point was that I couldn't do anything about Satoko wanting to stay in that house, and that I should watch until she gives in. In the end, no matter what I said, Coach himself was saying to wait and see.
俺はわかりませんよ。
はい。
俺は本当にサトコが危ないと感じたら誰の意思も聞かずに通報します。その結果サトコは不快な思いをして俺を恨むことがあるかもしれないけど、最終的にはそれがサトコの幸せにつながると信じます。
Coach turned to me and gazed fixedly into my eyes. It was written all over his face. He was shocked at what such a young kid had said.
どうしてあなたはそこまで。
Coach, no, rather, normal adults might not have understood. But I taught him the creed and values that I believed in.
サトコは俺の仲間だから。そして俺はサトコのニーニーだから。では理由は足りませんか？
I stared at him with a will strong and unbreakable as steel, as his eyes betrayed a tiny bit of
い
unrest.
え、足りないなんてことはありません。
We were silent for a little while until finally Coach said only that.
誓ったじゃないですか、俺たち。
すみません。
サトコを絶対に泣かせないって。
We made a vow on that day of the barbecue party. I didn't think about it hard at all, but Coach and I still made a promise that we wouldn't ever let Satoko cry. Coach gave a dry grin of regret, immediately apologizing for not remembering. One way or another, when he grinned like that, it made me think that his enthusiasm for saving Satoko was a tiny bit smaller than mine. He lightly hit the brakes, making a skidding noise, and my whole body suddenly fell forward.
ひょっとして前原さんのお家ってあれですか？ああ、前原屋敷が前原さんのお家だったんですね。
Yes. Are we known? Are we like a known person? I guess it's a small town. Before I knew it, we were almost to my house. Dude, what the frick? This might be the heaviest video I put on YouTube. I don't even... Case file 31. Okay. Man, I don't even... Plain to see. Met someone's relative. Oh my god, man. This is rough. And like, I don't even know how I'm gonna handle reading whatever garbage is gonna be brought my way. Okay. Case 31. What do we got? December 1st, 1981. Blank Prefecture Juvenile Welfare Division report. Oh, it's the report on... Okay. Do not view, do not duplicate. Case 31, November 20th. Satoko Hojo, blank years old. Residence, blank in... Oh, that's probably the address. Inabizawa Village, Shishibone. Consultation circumstances. Anonymous telephone SOS of child abuse. Abuse situation. Anonymous claims that a female child is suffering physical abuse by her adoptive parents or guardians. Family structure. Circle marks abusers. Okay. I was terrified I'd see one more mark. Both adoptive father, adoptive mother. Note, in June 1980, the child's parents died in an accident. She was given to her uncle on her father's side, her father's younger brother. Child Consultation Center's response. On the day of the anonymous telephone consultation, the center called the child's school and asked of her situation. The next day, the welfare officer on duty visited the child's home and heard what they had to say. Both adoptive parents agreed to the center's coaching. That's the word we're using. We're using coaching, right? It's just, we're going to offer you some advice on, you know, here's how you don't abuse the child. And they're going to say, yes, we'll do it. And whatever, they don't have to listen. Ugh. Contacted anti-abuse network in the city. As part of its suggested coaching, a district welfare officer in the area began visiting for coaching at fixed intervals. The scrawled note below is stapled to the report. Related information from former official Mr. W. Refer to 1977 document D23 number 44. Ask Chief Investigator F from the city's education consultation offices. He's well informed about it. What is this? Oh, we gotta go even deeper? Is that what we're saying? Ugh. I'm depressed. This is the heaviest thing I've ever seen in a video game. I stand by that Rena pop-off. When Rena used all her meter, not as an attack, like as a verbal attack, might be the best vocal performance I've ever heard. Because I was legitimately uncomfortable at how she was saying that. It felt like I was being yelled at by a real person, which is terrifying. I don't even know where we go from here, man. What do we do? Like, what do we do? It's really sad. The only thing I could see to do this is just to have Rena go and murder him, which from the poem there might be what happens. And it might be for the best, right? That's it. That's the only thing I can think of. If every other system fails us, that's the only thing I could see. But also, like, well, then that would also not fix everything. So it's like, man. Oh my god. Yeah. They weren't joking when they said the highest difficulty. They weren't joking. So, thank you guys for watching. And we'll see you next time for Chapter 7. Ciao. Yo.